Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. This is actually kind of a funny one. When we did Modern Prog a few weeks ago, somehow I came across the information that Necrophagist was prog. And not knowing much about a lot of these bands, the whatever list I found said it was prog, or maybe I misread it. I don't know what happened, but I put it in the poll for Modern Prog Week, and it won. It got fifth place. It should have been the fifth song in for Modern Prog Week, but I was quickly told that Necrophagist is not Modern Prog; it's Tech Death, and there's nothing I could do. I could restart the poll, but there are already people who voted, so I didn't want to negate their votes, especially if they only check into the Patreon, on Sunday to vote, and then they wait until next Sunday. So I left the poll running to see what would happen, and like I said, Necrophagist ended up taking fifth place. So I told everybody I would still do it, just not part of the week. And that was like 3 weeks ago. I'm running a bit late on this, but we're doing Necrophagist today. And there's so many of these, I have to move my face out of the way so you guys can see. And I'm going to name every single request that I found. We got Jonathan Olson, MSK War, Maricha 245, Metro Gnome, Perivarium, Zik Liquisticers, Christian Brunette, Fernando Henrique Ribeiro, I hope I pronounced that right, SS, Roberto Garcia. Some of these people may pop up twice. There's a lot of requests to go through, and as you've seen before, I'm not perfect. I do overlook sometimes when I'm looking for duplicates. Kevin De Los Santos, Korn, Owais Ahmed, Abner Robles, Mike Caputo, Fernando Henrique Ribeiro, you get shown twice. Benny Hoffman, Mytholic Tim, Pony Week, Vredes Beard 666, Mike Caputo, you showed up again. Matthew Colombe Lacasse, Youssef Kasheri, I apologize for that one if I pronounced it wrong. Tarek Hojieri, Citrus, Peepo Happy, John Haldane, Isaac, Meshuggah, Cover Guy, Dora Seckman, Zen Killer, and Jonathan Olson. Again, you got. So I had a few duplicates in there. Yeah, just there's a few of you want me to check this one out, and by and far, Fermented Offal Discharge. I don't know why that's the one that everybody wants me to listen to. I am disgusted with the name. God. I will say this is one of the few times where I saw we only had a 4 or 5 minute song, and I was beyond happy about that. I don't know if I'm not going to enjoy the song or if I am going to enjoy it. Tech Death was an interesting week, but that title. Okay, guys. Okay. Let's get into it. That bass line. Real slick time signature change there. All right. That is the metal equivalent of getting kicked in the teeth and then having a nice birthday party. All right. So, I'm going to preface this. You guys know it's coming. Not my cup of tea. Uh, I am impressed with their musicianship. The whole thing is pretty much what I said all Tech Death Week. It's impressive to hear this and realize that people are playing it. The whole song moves quickly. We got fast notes going throughout pretty much the whole thing. It's a very precise song. It requires a lot of precision attacks and releases, and just moving across the strings on the guitar, moving across, your drum kit, and even the singing. I would imagine is difficult. I know growling in and of itself is not something that everyone can do. It's a difficult technique, just like regular singing, just like fry, just like singing with distortion. It's something you have to work towards. And I would imagine that singing, growling at this speed and enunciating is highly difficult. That's my take on it, not having tried it. Um, to me, growling can very easily become inaudible just because of a lack of proper enunciation and spacing between syllables. And it can feel like the words just kind of stream together into like sentence soup. But for the most part, I could hear words here. In the chorus, I heard fermented Offal Discharge. And maybe that's just because that's the name of the song. I'm expecting those words to show up. But I picked them out. I heard them, which is cool. I fries I'm used to, and I can pick out words and sometimes full lyrics depending on how clean the scream is. I'm adjusted to hearing that and kind of understanding some of the nuances that go into putting words to that vocal style. But growling just typically to me is unintelligible. And here's a little thing about me. My lower end uh listening is really bad. Uh so a while back in college, I played in like a little punk rock band, or maybe not punk rock. I don't know. It was not punk, not like the punk that you would think of when I say punk music, but more like I don't know, alt rock maybe. I don't know, dude. Genres are hard. I don't understand them. Anyways, though, it was like rock with some screaming and some stuff in it. Um, but anyways, I played bass. I could not tune my fourth and fifth string to save my life. I couldn't. The other strings, yeah, I can hear those, but the fourth and fifth, they all sound like the same note. Super fat string. I can run up and down like the first seven frets, and they kind of all sound the same to me. Like my hearing is really bad for lower registers already, and then you mix in growling and trying to put words in that, and I'm just not going to have an easy time understanding it to begin with. And then it's also difficult to enunciate them. So just growling's just never worked for me, especially in the sense that there's lyrics. As a texture, I get it as a texture, but as a word delivery style, it's just never worked for me because of that. But I understood words here. I can't even speak. I understood words here, which I think is awesome. Like I said, I don't think that's ever really happened before when it comes to growling. I think if I went back and tuned in specifically to the lyrics, I will probably pick up a lot, and I think that says a lot for the vocalist. Um, yeah, like, it's just I think that says a lot for the vocalist. Um, like I said, the other guys, it's just really fast, precise music. They're all playing in time with each other, and it's a lot of really fast attacks and releases. We have a lot of staccato notes in here. Everybody's playing the same rhythm, and the space between all the notes is uniform. Now, I know on the drums, that's mostly a thing about, just keeping, you know, the same amount of space between your hits. But on guitar and bass, you also have your cuts, your cutoffs. All that has to be equal. So your attacks and your stops need to be equal. So it's just, I mean, all around, just phenomenal musicianship. Even if the music isn't necessarily something I would go out of my way to listen to, you have to appreciate the raw talent in the musicianship. And I also understand that Necrophagist kind of kicked off this whole genre, so they were thinking way outside the box writing it. So I mean, you got to give them some props for that as well for thinking about this. It's not like they had a template to work off of, if I'm understanding the timeline correctly. So that's impressive as well. I do want to really point out the solo section because it was vastly different. They switched, I don't know if they entirely switched key signatures or chord progression, but the lead opened up to a lot of more to a lot more notes. Uh, the main driving part behind the vocals is very muted as far as range and note selection. Uh, and I'm sure that's just because they wanted that hard, heavy hitting riff based music, so it doesn't really matter too much that they're staying within the same range or selecting the same note relationships. Um, it's more about the sound and feel of it more than good writing. Uh, but the solo really came out and sounded totally different. First of all, we went into a new octave. that's just not present throughout the rest of the song at all. And the relationships between the notes and the chords that were used moved from what I would say is fairly standard metal into a little bit of classical influence, um, specifically Renaissance era classical stuff, which I bring that and Baroque up a lot, but those are the two like archetypal classical musics. When you think of classical, you typically think of Renaissance or Baroque. You're typically thinking of, one of the big European, especially German, uh, composers, Bach and Beethoven and stuff. Um, so I think when a lot of metal people, or actually any musician, wants to incorporate classical elements, it's the archetypal classical elements, and we end up getting a lot of Renaissance and Baroque stuff. Um, but yeah, so we see a lot of that inside of the guitar work, and it's I don't know where this lines up timeline wise, but I would say that there's a little bit of Yngwie Malmsteen influence here, and I probably should have brought that up in some other of the bands that have had classical influence. I don't know how much influence Yngwie actually had. I don't know how big he was in the metal world. To me, he's a big figure because, well, I guess because I was introduced to him at a young age from my dad. But to me, he was just like this figure. He was the guy that brought classical to metal. And that's probably not entirely true. I'm sure there are other bands that might have done it before him or other people who did it before him. But to me, like when I think of classical and metal, Yngwie Malmsteen's who I think of. Like he's the figurehead of that. And this solo, I can hear a lot of inspirations from Malmsteen and the way that he arpeggiates, because that dude loves arpeggios. That's just what he does. But I hear a lot of his influence in here, and and of course the speed. Yngwie was always all about the speed and the arpeggios, and that's kind of a lot of what his work was based off of. Um, his more prolific works. But I hear a lot of that in here too. And like I said, I don't know if these guys, the guitarist, the Necrophagist, is a fan of Yngwie, if he's even heard of him before, or if he was just, adapting the Renaissance works in a similar manner. He heard the same patterns and he utilized those just like Yngwie did, sort of like when people invent things in parallel, even though they're not, stealing ideas or working off of each other, they both invent kind of the same thing. That's kind of what I'm hearing here, at least. If he wasn't influenced by Yngwie, then he was influenced by Renaissance music in this very similar way that Yngwie was. Um, but yeah, so I really like the solo section because it is such a stark difference to me from the core section, where the singing is. I do wish there was a little bit more breathing time. A lot of that solo is just shred, but I also understand that that's what tech death is. It is shred all the time, never stopping. So I understand it wouldn't have really worked within the rigid constraints of the genre, even though the genre hadn't been created yet. Um, but this band's all about showing off, as most tech death bands have come to become. And part of that is just shredding your solos out, even with some really nice melodies. Like I said, I wish some of the notes would have been a little longer, get some breathing time, and kind of allow some contrast to the speed. But, you know, I it's like complaining that my water doesn't taste like soda enough or something. It's not. This is not music where we hold out notes. So even though I would have liked it more, I also understand within the constraints of the song it wouldn't have worked well. Um, I do want to point out, I tried to remember the rhythm going on and it slipped my brain, but go back to the solo section and listen to the guitar playing under the soloist, and there's like this little quick gallop going on, and it's rhythmically synchronized with the drums that are happening, and yeah, I really love that part. I mean, it's really simple. It was like a 1 bar riff, 2 bar riffs, maybe tops, given the speed. That's just, repeated because, your focus is going to be on the soloist. But I just really like what he was doing with that little gallop there. It was pretty cool. So yeah, I think those are all my thoughts on Necrophagist. This is not something I'm going to listen to. It's a little too aggressive for me. I mean, I guess if I'm upset or working out or something, I mean, it would be a good soundtrack to that emotion, but it's not something I'm just going to turn on. Like, yeah, I want some music. Let's get blasted with these blast beats and double bass kicks by Necrophagist. But that's just the genre as a whole. I appreciate a lot of what's going on in it. I appreciate that these guys kicked it off. I mean, that's it takes a lot of future thinking to create a new genre. So yeah, I appreciate a lot that's going on here, but it's not something I'm going to listen to. This for you guys. Come in though, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you thought. I'm sure a lot of you are going to let me know about more Necrophagist songs to check out because apparently we have a lot of Necrophagist fans in this community. That was one of the biggest comment showcases I've created. I think Tool was the other one that didn't fit on the page. Uh, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that one was it. Anyways, yeah. So let me know in the comments about, anything I should know about the band or any other tracks I should check out. You can also like, subscribe, and ring the bell. All three of those things help out the channel immensely. Next to those buttons is the description box. In there are a ton of links. You can hit up my Patreon, my PayPal, my Twitter. If you want to get in contact with me, there's also links to the request spreadsheet and the whatever that other thing is. Oh, the link to blocked videos. I have a text document with blocked videos. You can get links to everything that YouTube's blocked and check out some of that stuff, including Leprous' Contaminate Me, Devin Townsend's Deadhead. What's some other bigger ones? I don't remember. Those are like the two big ones that oh, Oceans of Slumber, Winter. I don't know how big that is. I loved that song. That is one of the ones that I want to find a way to get on YouTube, even if I have to, blur the video or pause. As much as I hate it, I would pause the song to get that one on YouTube because I don't feel like they're a very big band. I found them through YouTube recommendations, and yeah, it was phenomenal. And I wish I could share that one, and it's just YouTube blocked it, so that sucks. But yeah, you can check out all those from that the blocked videos link. All right, I don't know when this video is being released. I have spare time today, and like I said, I needed to make it. I've been promising to make it for a while, but I don't know what day I'm actually going to release this on because it doesn't fit inside a schedule. It'll be sometime this week. Maybe I'll have a video tomorrow. Maybe I had a video come out right before this one. Who knows? But most of you guys know my schedule. Monday through Saturday, 5 p.m. EST, 9 p.m. UTC is when my videos release. Alright, until the next time you watch a video of mine, stay safe out there and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.